treat it like it's a complete reset of our lives. So I want to throw everything out today. We have had quite the year, and putting this decluttering compilation together from the first half, I kind of feel like a different person than I was at the start, but this compilation is just full of decluttering motivation. This is my whole journey from the first 6 months of the year, the good, bad, ugly, and everything in between. So if you're struggling to get motivated to declutter your home, I truly hope that this super long video is the spark you needed to get moving. I'm sharing all my tips, tricks, advice, and just real and raw life with you in this video. So put me up in your TV, clean and declutter along with me, or just sit back and watch. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new and you enjoy this type of content. There is so much more where this came from, and I do plan on posting a part 2 of the second portion of the year very soon. So let's do this, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Treat it like it's a complete reset of our lives. So I want to throw everything out today. Hello everybody, and happy new year. It's 2025 when this video goes up. Right now it's actually New Year's Eve when I'm filming this, but when this goes up it's gonna be the new year. So I hope you guys are having a good start to your new year. It literally feels like I have not picked up the camera in forever, and I think it's only been like 2 weeks, but it feels like I have been on break for a while, so I'm excited to be back. I gotta be honest guys, I've had it up to here with the clutter. It's time for us to do some decluttering, and you're probably like, what the heck, how do you still have things to declutter? It just is what it is. We just had Christmas, so we've got a lot of new stuff in the house that we need to find places for. 2025 is hopefully going to be a very big year for our family. We have some changes coming. Hopefully we have a new home in our near future. So if we're going to be moving, then I want to make sure that I'm only taking the things that we absolutely need. I want to treat it like it's a complete reset of our lives. So I want to throw everything out today. We are going to go through every single cabinet, every single drawer, as much as I physically can today, and get rid of as much as possible. And I'm really excited for it. So if you are in need of some motivation today to do some decluttering or some cleaning around your house, then you have come to the right place. But yes, very big things coming this year. I'm so excited to bring you guys all along on another year in my life and continue on my decluttering journey. Today we're also going to talk about some things that I'm not going to buy in 2025. I did that last year for 2024, so we're just gonna do it again because you guys seem to like that, and let's just go ahead and get started. Also, this was my Christmas present to myself, some AirPod Maxes. I'm so excited. So I'm going to wear these today while I get some things done. I'm obsessed with blue right now, if you can't tell. But I think I'm actually gonna put my hair up because I feel like I can't accomplish things when my hair is touching me so much. You guys will have to let me know if you know what I mean. Here we go. If you can't tell by my voice, I am a little under the weather, so bear with me. You can see here I was putting away all of my kids' cold medicine, so I knew it was coming for me shortly after them. But anyway, please try to bear with me in my voice today. But the first thing I did was clear off some space on my counters. We had some random stuff on there that needed to be either thrown out or put back where it belongs, and then we will get to work going through each cabinet one by one in the kitchen. Okay, so the first cabinet here holds all of our plates, mugs, and bowls. We also keep the kids' paint and Play-Doh in here up high so they can't just grab it whenever they want, and I make sure to always supervise when they have those things. But this cabinet was a mess. We have a mishmash of different bowls, and actually something I am buying or did buy for 2025 is matching bowls. I used to not care about having a bunch of bowls that didn't go together, but I've decided that it was time to make that investment so that they all stack on top of each other better and don't take as much space up in my cabinet. They've not arrived yet, but once they do, I'm planning to donate all of our bowls aside from the black ones because my husband likes those. But aside from that stuff, we also had a ton of different vitamins and things in here, as well as my cat's inhaler and his pill pockets for his medication. There was just way too much, and it was driving me crazy. We also had some old checks and random things that I had like mobile deposited on my phone and then shoved up into the cabinet. So I had to deal with all of that. I threw out a bunch of trash and it looks much better in there after. But now we're going to move on to my kids' cabinet. This is where I keep all of their feeding related stuff. But we had
A couple of new things accumulate in here. One thing was my son was really into the Good to Grow juices for a while, but now he really doesn't ever ask for those cups anymore. So I decided to get rid of all of those and recycle them. And then we had some new mugs and we had some things like from Disney that were souvenirs. So I went through and I got rid of most of that stuff. I used to hold a lot of sentimental value and stuff like that, but honestly, I don't anymore. So I'll usually just like keep one thing if it truly brings me joy and get rid of all the rest. So for example, we had a bunch of mugs that we got from when we went to the Polar Express. And as much as I like the mugs and I think they're really nice, we just don't need 4 Polar Express mugs. So I decided to donate most of those. And then I went through the cabinet that was above my microwave and I noticed that it was kind of grimy up there. So I decided to wipe it down while I was up there. But now we're going to go through this corner cabinet. I've gone through this so many times, but this cabinet's just really, really hard to stay on top of. It's kind of where all the random stuff ends up. We keep a lot of our serveware and hostware in here. We also keep a lot of extra like food storage containers and random organization bins, and I keep some of my seasonal decor for like Valentine's Day and stuff like that in here. Plus some small appliances like a blender, we have a milk frother. So yeah, it was just time for me to go through this and get rid of some stuff. I ended up getting rid of quite a few of our food storage containers, the ones that we don't typically use. And it felt really good to get all of that out of there and make this cabinet easier to go through. I'm sure it's going to end up getting packed up again at some point, but for the time being, it's much easier to find what I'm looking for in here. While we go through this cabinet, I figured I'd start talking about some of the things that I'm not planning to buy in 2025. So the first thing for me is I'm not buying any hair care, skincare, or makeup until I've run out of whatever it is that I need to replace. I feel like in the past I have just bought something new that I wanted to try before I finish something up, and then I end up with extra clutter. So I really want to be more mindful about not doing that this year. But anyway, these drawers right here, ththese aren't too bad. I just wanted to show you guys that they weren't like overflowing with stuff. They have stayed relatively organized since the first time that I decluttered them. So we're just going to leave those alone. Next, we will go through underneath our kitchen sink. There were quite a few things in there that I was not using. Like, for example, I had a dish soap glass bottle and a hand soap glass bottle that match. Got them from Etsy years ago, but I haven't reached for those in quite a long time since I used my Blue Land hand soap and Dawn Power Wash. I decided to clean those out so I could just donate them. I also had accumulated quite a bit of accessories for various robot vacuums. I worked with a lot of robot vacuums for sponsorships in 2024, and I give a lot of those away to friends and family, but some of the extra parts and bags got left behind under my sink. Something else I'll definitely not be buying in 2025 is any cookware. I have been using my Caraway set for years now, and I absolutely love them, and I truly don't feel the need to ever have anything else. They are just so easy and minimalistic, and I love like the storage solutions that come with them and all of that. So there is definitely no need for me to add any new cookware to my collection in the new year. But now we're clearing off some more random stuff off of my counters before we continue on. My kids got a projector like sketcher thing for Christmas, and they've been using it so much, so that's why it was sitting out on my counter. But I wanted to find a home for it, which you guys will see me do later when we declutter my kids like arts and crafts area. This drawer here collected so much random stuff over the last couple of months. So we have a couple of seed packets that I know I'm not going to use, some instruction books I know I'm not going to use. We also have like one of my old cell phones. We keep our cutting boards in here. We keep extra command hooks, clothespins, just, you know, all the random stuff that, like, where do you store that stuff? I truly don't know where else I would put it if not in this drawer in my kitchen. But I'm getting rid of all the excess stuff, only keeping what we absolutely need. With the exception of these coin rollers, I know these are so obsolete because there's coin machines everywhere that can count your coins, but I used to work in banking and I was a teller for quite some time. So I don't know, something about like the coin rollers, I just feel like I'm teaching my son something by having him count his own coins and put them in the rollers and stuff. I don't know, you guys will have to let me know if I'm just like being crazy and it's ridiculous, but I did keep those. And now we have the dreaded junk drawer / utility drawer, and this of course was overflowing with all kinds of random stuff, but I'm not the only person who goes into this drawer. I have 2 little kids. Sometimes they go into this drawer, my husband goes into this drawer, so it just becomes a mess, but it's okay. It's easy enough for me to go through it all and clear it out and reorganize it. So that's what we're doing. Something else that I won't be buying in 2025 is air fresheners. I think I've decided that I no longer want to have those in my home. We have a cat that struggles with asthma, and I don't know if any air fresheners have maybe played a role in that or triggered his asthma more, but I just want to be more careful about scents and artificial fragrance and stuff like that in our home. Plus, my husband has kind of started to struggle more with his asthma over time and stuff. So anyway, I want to get that stuff out of my house. I'm pretty sure it's not good for you. So you guys will have to let me know what you do in your home to have like a nice scent without using any air fresheners. I feel like pens are just one of those things that we tend to collect without even realizing it, because you might get a pen from the bank when you go see them, or if you have a tax guy that you go see to do your taxes, he might give you a pen with his business on it, or you just get pens, I feel like, everywhere. So we've ended up with a ton of pens, and even though I go through these on a regular basis, they still have managed to accumulate, so I'm going through them once again. Something I unfortunately might have to buy in 2025 is new cutlery, because I don't know what is happening with all of ours. I feel like maybe my kids have accidentally thrown them away or something, because we just don't have enough. I feel like I'm constantly having to run my dishwasher because we run out of silverware so frequently. So I might end up buying a new set this year, even though I really don't want to. I posted a video a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, where I was talking about all of the things that you could declutter before the new year. And one of the things I talked about was your baking cabinet. And I didn't take my own advice and do this before the holidays, even though I should have. But our bakeware cabinet was a complete mess after all of the holiday baking and stuff. So I'm taking a lot of it out and going through it, and I ended up decluttering quite a bit. I feel I was very mindful in 2024 about clutter and not letting it accumulate or collect, but yet still I find so much stuff in my home that we can get rid of. I obviously want to be even more intentional about it going into this year, since we are hopefully planning to move, but I found that as I've gone through this process, my threshold for how much stuff I am comfortable keeping in my home changes. I might declutter a cabinet one time and think it's good now, I don't need to do this again, but a few weeks later realize I'm still not using some of the things in the space and decide to go through it again and again. It's a lifestyle at this point, but I'm committed to staying on top of it and never allowing my house to be completely overrun with useless stuff. I have said this pretty much every single year, I want to say since like 2019 or 2020, but something I would really love to buy less of in 2025 is things off of Amazon. I really try to limit my Amazon purchases. I honestly much prefer to go shop in store. I know that sometimes like it's not realistic, can't get out of your house for whatever reason, but I just feel like the instant gratification that we get from Amazon is so addicting. It's so easy to add things to your cart and be like, oh, that's coming this afternoon. And it just gives you that like rush, I guess. And it almost feels like it's not real money sometimes when you're using your credit card in that way. I don't know. So anyway, I really would love to buy less things off of Amazon this year, because I think we'd save a lot of money if we all kind of stopped going on Amazon. I know sometimes you can get things cheaper on there than you would get in a regular store, but I feel like because it's so easy to just go on the app and place an order real quick, we are accidentally overspending. This cabinet was kind of driving me nuts because I had a bunch of little snacks and stuff in there that were like overflow from our pantry, and we just weren't eating the snacks that were in there. So I decided to get rid of those things. And also the syrups we kind of bought on a whim one day because we were trying to make sodas like in Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, like when they go to swig and stuff. So anyway, we're not using those syrups, and it was just time for me to get rid of them and get rid of all of the random snacks that nobody was eating. But now it's time to go through my kids' craft and art supplies and stuff cabinet. We keep in here all of the coloring books, all the markers, crayons, colored pencils. We have some bins with like random stuff in them like feathers and pom-poms and glue sticks and stuff like that. So there's a lot that fits into this cabinet, and it's not really ideal to store it all like this, but this is just what's worked best for us in the home that we're living in. But my kids were really not using like any of the coloring books. I find that they just prefer to use like a blank sheet of paper, and then now that they have that projector, they're like sketching their own things onto a paper and then coloring it. So I just figured it was time for me to get rid of a lot of those coloring books because they were just taking up space. And by getting rid of some of that stuff, I was able to make space for their projector to have a home so that it has somewhere to go when they're not using it and it's not just sitting on my counter. This bag right here was trash, so I was just filling up that bag with trash, but I had another trash bag that was actually full of donations, and I did not film this, but I went through all of my kids' toys again after Christmas and got rid of a ton of things to donate, so that's what was in that bag, and now I'm filling up a third bag with donations from the kitchen. Since it was New Year's Eve when I was filming this, I decided to go ahead and update our calendar real quick. And if you're wondering why I have my phone out, it's because I will look up like the month in calligraphy and then try to copy the calligraphy so that it looks pretty, because I'm not really good at that stuff. But yeah, that's why I was looking at my phone while I was doing this. I decided to also go through this little envelope while I was at it because I knew there was probably some random papers and things that had collected that it was time for me to get rid of. These right here are Christmas presents that don't yet have homes, so I'm just kind of piling everything up and seeing what's over here. And then I did find some spaces for some things, but I did leave out the Monopoly and the Basketball Connect 4 because my son has been playing those constantly ever since Christmas, so there was like no point in me putting them away. But now we're moving on to my bedroom. I had a little bit of decluttering I wanted to do in there. I think I heard somebody say that you're not supposed to do laundry on New Year's Day, so I was doing all of my laundry the day before New Year's, and I just had a couple random things in this laundry basket that needed to be folded and put away, and then I decided to go through all of my clothing again. I haven't accumulated like too much new stuff in the last few months, but I still felt like I had maybe just a little too much in my collection, so I decided to go drawer by drawer and just take out anything that I have not worn in a long time. I have not worn a lot of the sweatshirts that are in this very dusty under the bed bin in quite some time, so I decided to pull that out so that I could go through it and get rid of any of the sweatshirts that I have not been wearing and just put in the ones that I am currently wearing. And it was nice because this like wouldn't shut properly before because there was just too much in there, but after going through it, now it closes properly and there's no gaps for like dust and crap to get in there. This dresser in our bedroom is such a catch-all. It had so many random things on it, so I'm trying to find the places to put those things back. A lot of them were my husband's, and honestly, I don't know exactly where he stores everything in all of his drawers. He just has so much stuff, and I've tried to declutter it for him before, but he's much harder to declutter for because he leaves the house a lot more often than I do. He's got like work clothes, gym clothes, like lounge clothes, pajamas, summer clothes, winter clothes, he's just got a lot. So it's sometimes hard for me to stay on top of it, but I wanted to get the dresser cleared off and then wiped down as well because it was quite dusty. And then I started to hyperfixate on this fan here because I noticed there was a lot of dust in it. So I tried to vacuum it out and the dust was just not going anywhere. So I ended up having to grab a microfiber cloth and a butter knife and just go through all of the little crevices and stuff and try to get out as much of the dust as possible. But we use our fan every single night for sleep. We're one of those people that sleep with a fan on every night, and I do not want a bunch of like dust and grime just like blowing around in the air all night. So this really had to be done. Because we're all friends here, I am going through my sock and underwear drawer and getting rid of some things that I don't need. I had a couple of bathing suits in there as well, so that's why I feel like it looked like it was so stocked full of stuff because of the bathing suits, but I just don't know where to store those. I do have like a summer clothes bin. I'll probably put most of them in there, but we have a gym membership and the gym that we go to has a pool and my kids take swim lessons there, so we do actually use our bathing suits even in the winter, so I don't want to put all of them away. Anyway, it's just really hard. We don't have a ton of storage in this house. Our closet is super tiny, so I just don't have anywhere to put that random stuff. But once we're all done in here, I'm going to gather everything that I'm donating and all the trash. I took it immediately to the donation center to get it out of my house, and it felt so good to get this done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I hope you'll come back again next time for a new one.
Throw some unnecessary out and let's start over. Real. We are either moving states or we're just moving within our town, but either way we are about to move. So let's throw some unnecessary out and let's start over. The first place we're gonna look is in my nightstand. I feel like I don't use like 99% of what's in here. The funny thing about going through a decluttering journey is that as you go, your desire to keep what you've already kept the first round or two goes down pretty significantly. I might have thought I wanted to keep something before, but as time goes on and I'm still not using the things I thought I just had to keep, I get rid of them. I hate having to fish around in a drawer to find something. So my goal with decluttering my nightstands again today was to make sure I didn't have to do that I could fit everything I need in here and find and see everything easily. It's hard to tell on camera, but these drawers are super tiny. Not only are they shallow, but they also are not very deep. So not much can fit in here, which is actually probably a good thing because it certainly prevents me from keeping more than is necessary. Clothes yesterday as I was putting away laundry, and I realized there were a couple of things that I wanted to get rid of, and I wanted to talk about that because actually this pair of pants right here, these are new with tags from PacSun. I got them a few months ago. They're past the return window and I really dislike them. I really don't like the way that they look on me, so I have been on the hunt for more trendy pants that I like on myself, and these just were not it, and I should have returned them, but I didn't get around to it. And now I think it's probably too late, but the way I'm looking at it is that hopefully these can bless somebody else out there who needs it and who will find these pants to be flattering on their body type. So I am gonna go ahead and donate these. This shirt is from Old Navy and this is a size medium. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, this thing has shrunk so much and the material is just not, I don't know, I'm not a fan of it. So I'm gonna get rid of this as well. I have kind of a worn out white top. This one doesn't really look good with any of the bras that I have because of the neckline, so I'm gonna get rid of this one. This black top I think I got from Amazon. I already have a black t-shirt that I like, so I don't feel like I need this one. Plus this one is super cropped and I just don't like where it falls on my body. This shirt I got from Altered State just a couple months ago, and I got it to wear to a concert and I loved it. I thought it looked really nice, but I truthfully will probably never wear it again. And I also found that the neckline was kind of annoying, like it just kept rolling up throughout the night, so I think I'm gonna donate this. And finally I have this blanket that has been sitting in Sutton's room for quite some time. Usually I use this to decorate for Christmas, like as a nice throw blanket for the winter and stuff, but I don't know, I just feel like I'm over it, so I'm gonna donate this. And if you're wondering what these are healthcare grade germicidal wipes and hydrogen peroxide disinfectant wipes because health anxiety has kind of been taking over my life this winter. These were a panic purchase one night when my son told me that his friend was sick at school.
This second leg of decluttering my house, I am really trying to focus on what I want to bring to our next house. Do we have one yet? No, but having that mentality of we might be listing our house soon and we might be packing up soon has kind of reinvigorated me to get rid of stuff. I want a fresh start in our next house. I only want to pack up and keep the things that we absolutely love. And I also want to make it easier for me to keep my house clean if we're going to have showings here in the near future. Showing a house, especially with kids, is not easy. Having to keep the house clean all the time for prospective buyers is stressful. So if I can take some of that stress out by minimizing what we have and making it easier to clean up, I am going to do that. When it comes to my clothing, I have said this before, but I've essentially decluttered everything that I want to, and I'm honestly sick of getting rid of my clothes. I still go through them and kind of mentally determine the last time I wore something, how it makes me feel when I wear it, and I guess the likelihood I'll wear it again, and I'll get rid of some things here and there, kind of like you saw in the beginning of the video. But gone are the days of multiple trash bags worth of clothing to get rid of. I am very hopeful that in our next house we will have decent closet space and it won't feel like I have too much that I'm trying to cram into one tiny space anymore. Just some things as a cat mom that you cannot have, and a blanket with this material is one of them. This unfortunately is not that old, but my cats kept getting their claws stuck in it. I feel like it's going to be hard to tell on camera, but there are pulls all over this thing and it looks really raggedy when I put it on the bed. So I think I am going to donate this maybe to an animal shelter because I know they like to take old linens and blankets. So I think that's probably what I'll do with this one. I don't think I've ever watered this plant as long as I've had it. One thing I may actually need to grab soon is new microfiber cloths because I don't know what happened to all of mine, but I cannot find any of them. I feel like they're always dirty, the ones that I do have, so I need to get some more because I cannot be using paper towels for cleaning. That is not good. We love to have a fan in our room, so we've had this Trio fan in here since we moved in pretty much. But it gets so disgusting and it's really, really hard for me to keep it clean. So something I'm definitely going to do in our next house is get a ceiling fan in our bedroom so that we can eliminate some of the difficulty of trying to clean a desk fan. The reason we can't have a ceiling fan in our current house is because our ceilings are too low. From this one room, we have a bag of donations going and a bag of trash. It has been a while since we have gone through this closet. I think it's one of those days where I'm going to take everything out of it so I can go through it all and organize it and then put it all back in a more organized fashion and find some stuff that we can get rid of along the way. This is like our everything closet. This is our only linen closet in the house, so it has to keep so many different categories of things in it, and we do our best to keep it organized, but I think it needs a little bit of attention. Something that I always get questions about is this organizer that we have on the back of our door. This one came from the Container Store. If it is still available on their website, I will link it in my description box. I think it was kind of pricey. I'm not sure if it's still available. It's been a really long time since we purchased this. But if I can find the link, I will definitely put it in my description box. I love it because it really helps to utilize the space that would otherwise go to waste in this closet. So if you have a small home, I'm a big fan of putting some sort of storage on the back of doors or inside of cabinets, just again to help you utilize space that might otherwise go to waste.
Our linen closet has come a long way. The first time I ever truly organized the space was right after we had our second baby. So over 3 years ago, it was a complete disaster before that. It has gone through phases where it's been kind of a disaster again, but for the most part, it has stayed relatively organized and we've really maximized the space to the best of our ability. But it is a space that frequently needs to be gone through to just make sure it doesn't become completely unkempt. It's not just me who goes in here, it's pretty much all of us. The kids go in here when they need a band-aid or a towel. My husband and I are obviously in and out of this closet all the time. When it's a high traffic area, it is bound to get messed up, things get moved around. So anyway, my point is you can't just organize a space once and expect it to stay that way. It's going to need to be gone through again and again, and that's just a part of life. My husband happened to be working from home on this day, so I texted him from the basement to let him know I needed him to come up and go through some of his stuff. He has a much harder time of letting go of things versus me. I feel like I'm at a point now where I could throw anything away and truly not think too hard about it, but he is definitely, I don't want to call him a hoarder because that's definitely not accurate, but I think he has a little bit more hoarder tendencies than I do. So I had to get him up there, see if he could part ways with just a couple of things, and he was able to get rid of a few things. So that was helpful. I had been using this container to store our bath towels, and honestly, I was finding it extremely inconvenient. Like, it was just not easy to fold the towels in a way that made them fit properly in there, and it was kind of hard to get the towels out. It was even harder to put the towels away when they were clean from the laundry, so I decided to just completely start from scratch and just get rid of that. And so instead of putting towels in here, I decided to consolidate all of my cleaning stuff into this little container and remove the sticker I had in the front that said towels. So we'll see if this ends up working out better, or maybe I end up getting rid of this container altogether, but I figured that for now I would try this and just see how I like it. Every single time I go through this closet, I also check to make sure that our medicines are good and not expired. And I always have to say this, if you want to keep your expired medications, then you can go ahead and do that. I personally don't feel comfortable taking medicine or giving my kids medicine that is expired, so I will go ahead and get rid of it if I find some in my cabinet. The only exception to that rule for me though is Benadryl. I would rather have expired Benadryl in my cabinet than not have it at all in case one of my kids experience some sort of allergic reaction of any sort. So until I get a new Benadryl, I will keep the expired one in the cabinet just in case. I decided to organize all of my kids' medicines into their own container instead of putting them on that back of the door organizer like I have been doing. And I feel like this might be a little bit easier for me to just pull the whole bin out and see what we have when I need to grab them some medicine. Sometimes when I'm looking in those little mesh bins on the back of the door, it can be hard to see what's in there. So I'm hoping this will just make my life a little bit easier. I always share this tip, but whenever I am decluttering, I like to start putting things back, things that I know I'm going to keep. And then usually whatever is kind of left behind towards the end ends up being the things that I don't really need and I don't care about and I can easily declutter. So it's kind of an easy way to get through what can kind of be an overwhelming process sometimes. Because doing it this way kind of feels like your stuff is decluttering itself as you go.
I was super proud of how much stuff I was able to get rid of between my room and this closet. So filling up this trash bag is always so satisfying. This bag, yes, this one is trash. And then I also have a bag filled with donations too. I think this looks so much better. Everything's just a little bit more consolidated and organized. I have any of like our adult medicines up here, and then I have just like kids throat soothing lollipops. I have extra toothbrush heads, makeup brush cleaner. We have hydrogen peroxide, rubbing alcohol, baby oil. You never know when you need that. And then like first aid stuff over here. I have like sanitizing wipes, which I don't know if you guys can see or not in the frame. A couple of cleaners, an extra shower curtain liner, and my Dyson Airwrap on the door. And then inside the closet, all of my like dangerous cleaners that I don't want the kids to get into, I put up top. I may still go through those, but I didn't go through those today. And then I've got all my cleaning stuff I reach for, typically for the bathroom in here. I'm gonna just keep towels right here instead of in one of these containers, because these were kind of inconvenient for me to put the towels away in and get them out and all that. And then all the kids' medicine I decided to consolidate into one little bin, so that when they're sick I can just take out the whole bin and find what I need instead of like sifting through and then having stuff sitting on my counters. I just feel like this will be easier for me. We've got my husband, extra deodorant, extra soap, shaving related things in there. This is like Q-tips, cotton balls. We have an extra, I don't know what this is called, odor neutralizing gel beads. I got this from Home Goods recently. It smells really good. And then this I've had forever. I made this when I was in my apartment. I did a whole organizing video, and we still use it all the time for like thermometers, my nail stuff, extra razors, soaps, extra brushing, teeth brushing things and stuff. And then we've got our hand towels and our face cloths, our toilet paper, my Scentsies down here. And then you guys probably can't see it, but I'm gonna keep our beach towels and all, I have like a million Lysol wipes right now, so all the Lysol wipes are down there. I have the two bottom bins, which have some of my things like personal care items, and then one of them has like a hand steamer, which we use instead of an iron, and then a humidifier. So I feel like this is a million times better, more organized. I feel good about this. And I was able to get rid of a ton of stuff today. So if we have people coming to our house for an open house, I'm not going to be ashamed when they start opening closets, because they'll all look pretty decent. Been rage cleaning for the last hour because we just found out that the third house we've put an offer in, we also did not get. So as it turns out, this time around, house hunting is just as bad, if not worse, as the last couple of times that we tried. It feels like every single time we go through this process, what we want is just like barely out of reach, and then we earn more money, we save more money, and it just is still barely out of reach. So I'm laughing, but it's actually not funny. I'm really sad about it. But we are visiting North Carolina in a couple of weeks, so we'll see what happens with that. If we have more luck in the North Carolina market, if we like it down there, our options are open as of right now to either staying here where we are if we can find something that suits our family, and if we can't, then we are also open to moving. So all that reinvigoration I was feeling when I filmed this video has left the chat. I'm just depressed now. So anyway, that is going to end today's video. I realized I did not film a proper outro, so I wanted to just quickly do that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video motivated you. I hope if you're in the real estate market, you're having better luck than we are. And yeah, I guess that's it for this week. I feel like this was kind of a shorter video, but it was about all I could get done this week. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. On that note, I'm gonna rage clean some more. In the spirit of maintaining our progress, welcome to today's decluttering video. I consider myself to be minimal-ish, not a minimalist, but I have put in a lot of work to reduce clutter in our lives and in our home, so we need to make sure we're staying on top of that. decluttering is not just about the initial process of getting rid of the stuff, it's also about regular maintenance and creating sustainable habits that prevent clutter from building back up again. So that's what we're doing today, practicing those habits and making sure we're staying on top of the clutter. So the first area that I'm tackling today is my entryway closet. We have a very, very tiny entry closet. I've done my best to maximize the space by adding storage behind the door and also putting up hooks on the wall beside it for the jackets and things we reach for every day. But you simply cannot organize your way out of too much stuff, so I go through this closet at least once every season, or as soon as I start to notice that it's overwhelming me. In particular, I wanted to go through bags. I had several bags that I use for either swim class, as a diaper bag, a purse, etc., and I needed to get all the random crap out of those bags and put that stuff back either where it belongs or thrown into the trash. I also wanted to organize the shoes back onto the shelves neatly and give the entry space a pretty good vacuum and a quick mop with my Swiffer. I know that when life gets busy, chores can fall behind, staying on top of clutter can kind of take a back seat, so I hope this video motivates you to even take care of one tiny space in your home today. If all you have is 15 minutes, pick one spot and focus on that. Small and manageable tasks really do add up over time and make a big difference. And if you hear some just absolute chaos going on around me, my toddler is home with me today as I'm recording these voiceovers, and he's currently playing with our kitten and they're running around just making a ruckus. So please bear with me, I'm doing my best. The next thing I'm going to declutter is one of my robot vacuums. So you guys might notice that I work with quite a few robot vacuum brands for videos. I obviously cannot keep all of the ones that are sent to me, so I give them away free to good homes, to friends and family. This one was off to my husband's coworker, so I wanted to get it all cleaned up since it was quite dirty from the last time I had to use it to demo something. This one is a Eufy vacuum and I loved it. I've also worked with Dreamy a bunch of times. They have some really awesome options. Most recently I've worked with EcoVacs, so that's my current robot vacuum. I believe I'm working with them again coming up here soon, so my current robot will also be rehomed. I think my friends and family know me as like the free robot vacuum girl at this point, but I'm happy to be able to extend these blessings in my life to those around me. I feel very fortunate that this is my job and I get to work with amazing brands and gift things to the people I love sometimes too. I recently came across another creator here on YouTube and I wanted to actually ask some opinions. So she posted a declutter video that was 2 hours long and she was going through each individual item in real time and kind of talking through her thought process as she went. It was not voiceovered, it was not a time lapse, it was truly in real time. And I was reading the comments and I saw a lot of people saying that they loved that style of video, that they have been looking for a video that is not a time lapse and a true representation of the process in real time. So I'm curious, which style do you prefer? If I put out a super long video going through items and talking through it, would you watch that or would it be boring? It's something I could definitely do. I did actually post a video pretty recently where I was going through my shoes in my closet and I did talk through each individual pair of shoes as I went for the beginning of the video, and that one did not do well. The views were low in comparison to my other declutters. So I'm not sure if that's why or if there was another reason, but I just love some feedback. So any content ideas, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Let me know what you prefer, what you like, or even what you maybe don't like about my videos, as long as you're nice, and then I can hopefully improve my content. I was struggling to get this trash out. I actually had to turn the trash can over and slide the trash out that way because I was having such a hard time. But in just a couple minutes, we're going to get back to the decluttering maintenance by taking care of the absolute disaster that was my living room and the toys. I just wanted to get a little bit of tidying up done around me before we get back into that. As I clean this mirror here above this table, I'm really excited because I'm actually getting a new mirror pretty soon for up here. I'm working with a brand on that. It's an LED mirror, which ideally I'd put into a bathroom, but we only have one bathroom in this house and we need all the storage we can get. We currently have a medicine cabinet style of mirror in the bathroom, and inside of that houses like 90% of my skincare, hair care, and makeup. I can't afford to lose that storage. So for now, the new mirror will go above this table. I'm really looking forward to it though, and hopefully once we move, we have a new bathroom that the mirror could go in, or potentially a vanity area for me to get ready and it could go there, but you guys are going to love it. It's really cool. I'm excited to share that in a couple weeks. Okay, moving into the living room, we're starting with this corner here. I wanted to clean off the mirror, but also there was dirt absolutely everywhere. You guys know we got a new kitten back in January. She is a Maine Coon. We are obsessed with her, but she is wild. She's totally out of her mind, and she loves to dig in my poor plants and get dirt everywhere. So I needed to move this chair and clean all around it. Now, before I get the inevitable comments that I'm always decluttering because I can't stop shopping, these toys are so old. We've had them forever. If you go back and you watch old videos from 5 years ago, you are going to see pretty much all the same ones. We have 2 boys and they're 4.5 years apart, so my toddler's currently very, very into all of my older son's old toys. It's actually been great because we barely had to buy anything new for him for almost his entire 3 years of life so far. And I've decluttered our toy collection so many times. Actually, for the first time recently, I had a regret with something I decluttered. My toddler is loving PJ Masks right now, and it doesn't appear that they make PJ Mask toys anymore in the same capacity that they did when my oldest was his age. I have lots of my older son's old PJ Mask toys, but I did get rid of quite a bit of them, and I recently found myself searching for one of them that I thought my youngest would enjoy, but lo and behold, I did in fact declutter it, but it's fine. He obviously has no shortage of toys to play with. I just thought it was funny that it was the first time in the last year plus of my decluttering journey that I actually missed something I got rid of. When I'm decluttering toys, I like to make sure that I am categorizing everything as I go. Grouping similar things together just makes it easier to evaluate everything you have, find any duplicates, or just things that are no longer age appropriate, but also it makes the cleanup process easier as well. When my kids clean up, they don't tend to put things away the same way that I would, so toys can get mixed up. Things end up with things that they don't belong with, sets get taken apart. So while I'm going through these toys, I also like to make sure that everything ends up together where they're supposed to be for a full reset. We do keep the majority of our toys in our downstairs play area, but since my youngest is not old enough to spend time down there alone really, I of course have toys up here for him as well. We keep them in the white toy box, the green dresser next to our couch, which we'll go through in a second. We're going to go through each and every individual drawer, and then some of the bigger stuff gets stored away underneath our electric fireplace. I try to make sure all of these things get rotated out to keep things interesting for him, and again, I make maintenance of the toys a regular part of my routine to make sure we're not accumulating excess clutter that we don't need. If you're like me and you're not a trinket mom, my sister's actually a first grade teacher, and she mentioned to me that if I have any little trinkets, McDonald's toys, stuff like that that we don't need, she would love them for her classroom's prize bucket. So instead of just tossing that stuff like I have been doing, I will definitely give those to her in the future. So if you have any elementary school teachers in your life, definitely ask them if they would like that stuff. I feel like every time I start to think to myself, my house is too small, that's why it's always messy, or just any of those kind of negative, woe is me type of thoughts, I need a little tough love. So I wanted to share just a little bit of tough love with all of you in today's video. Your stuff is making you miserable. Have you ever looked around your house and felt so frustrated by the mess that you're like, I wish I could knock this whole house down and start over? I have absolutely been there, and I've also heard it said multiple times in my real life by people I know about their own homes. If you feel like that, your stuff is making you miserable, plain and simple. It can get to the point where your inanimate objects in your own house are controlling you and your happiness. I'm the type of person, and I'm sure there's plenty of others watching this who are this way, that I can't truly relax if I have a to-do list in the back of my mind. I can't sit and read a book. I can't go on a walk, play outside with my kids. I will literally feel paralyzed by the to-do list and can't enjoy myself doing anything else until those things are done. But once you start getting rid of stuff and making an effort to stop spending so much, stop bringing in so much inventory into your home, you will notice your to-do list gets shorter and the amount of time it takes you to keep your house clean is significantly cut down. You can actually start to relax, spend your days doing whatever it is that you want without that guilt and stress of maintaining your home 24/7 dragging you down. So if you take anything from today's video, I want you to take away that it's time to take back control. Take back control of your house, your space, your time, and your money by committing to decluttering your home and also to forming new habits when it comes to what you bring into it going forward. A lot of little toys tend to get stuck down in between my couch cushions, so I wanted to take those off and find all those little pieces of toys and also just do a quick vacuum, because somehow, even though I rarely ever see my kids sneaking a snack onto the couch, somehow there's always crumbs in there. So I just wanted to get that all cleaned up. Plus some toys had fallen down between the two pieces of our sectional, so I had to get those out so I could properly connect the couch pieces to each other because they were not, since all that stuff was blocking it. And this is everything that I decluttered from in that room. So I'm just filling up the trash bag the rest of the way so I can drop this off to donate. Something I'm really trying to do as part of my whole decluttering journey is to use up the things that I already have. So I hardly ever pull out this stainless steel cleaner to use it up. I usually just use my all-purpose spray. So this just sits under my sink, and I decided that instead of being wasteful and throwing it away, I'm going to make a real effort to use it all up so that I can declutter it, but not just waste all of it. But now we're moving on to my toddler's room. I just had a couple things I wanted to do to tidy up in here. Now that we don't really use his changing table anymore for its intended purpose, since he's older, it became quite a catch-all for us, and I constantly find myself having to clear things off of his dresser that I've thrown in there. So I'm kind of dealing with that, and then I'm also going to grab his laundry to throw into the wash. Easter is super late this year, but I was feeling the urge to kind of start decorating my house for spring and Easter on this day since it was a super nice day out. So I cleared off the shelves in my kitchen so that I could put a couple decorations up there. But actually, this is so random, but I worked with this sponsor, I want to say it was like a year ago now. It was around Mother's Day last year. And they are a photo printer brand. And this is seriously like one of my favorite things that I have in my house. Like, I love this thing. It's come in clutch so many times when I've needed a quick picture printed. So anyway, I'm using my Lean photo printer to just quickly print out a picture from one of our past spring photo shoots I've had done of the kids to display in my kitchen for the coming season. But once we finish putting up just these couple of decorations around the house, we're going to decorate the shelves in my kitchen. I also put up my little egg garland. I've had that egg garland for like, I don't know, maybe 3 years or more at this point. We're going to hang that up on our fireplace. then that's gonna be it for today's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope it gave you a little bit of motivation, whether that's for decluttering or cleaning. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Don't forget to check out Free Cash. I'll have that link in my description box down below. And I hope that I'll see you again in my next video.
Packing up pretty much my entire life today. So we're gonna live as minimally as possible for the next however long it takes for us to find a house. Do we have a new house yet? No. Not as of right now as I'm recording this, but I do want to try and manifest one by packing up pretty much my entire life today. So we're gonna live as minimally as possible for the next however long it takes for us to find a house. And who knows, maybe after I pack all this stuff up and realize that we don't need it, I'll end up just getting rid of most of it, but we'll see. I'm gonna just start packing things up and live a minimal life to try and keep our house as easy to clean as possible for when we do list it. And hopefully soon we have a house. Also, my cat got me yesterday, if you're wondering about the Band-Aid. My toddler and I took a trip to Home Depot this morning to go pick up boxes and some packing tape so that I'd be prepared to get started on this project. And it was raining. But let's just get into this little kind of minimalist challenge, as I think I'm going to call it, because I think it is going to be a challenge to try and live without as many things as possible for who knows how long. There's no date set in stone yet for us, but I'm interested to see how it feels to live with the absolute bare minimum for a little while. And this is probably going to be a multiple part video because there's no way I'm going to be able to pack everything up today, but we're going to get started today.
I'll be honest, since finishing my whole house declutter series, throwing everything out, I have felt beyond uninspired. I'm in such a weird place right now where I just feel kind of unsettled. I don't know how long we're going to be in this house for. I don't know where we're going to be living next. There's just a lot of unknown and it's very out of my control. And that feeling can be hard to live with, especially for someone like me who can be pretty type A. And it kind of dawned on me one night, what if I just start packing? Not only will it make my life easier when it is time to move, but it'll make my life easier in the interim to keep my house clean and clutter-free. I have learned by now that the less stuff you have, the less mess there is, and I want to see what it would be like to live with even less and how it impacts my life without the permanent decisions involved with the declutter. So going into this, I'm trying to think of which areas of my house require the most attention to keep clean, and with 2 little kids, one of them being just freshly 3 years old, the toys do come to mind first. I'm obviously not going to pack up all of my kids' toys, but I am going to pack up quite a bit of them.
Wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't whip out a trash bag.
My goal was to make space in our existing storage so that when we do need to tidy up, like for example, when we list our house and we need to clean up quick for showings, it'll be easy to just literally throw everything into a drawer in here or under our fireplace storage and voila, a clean space. But something interesting happened while I was doing this. I got the urge to get rid of even more. Something I've been asking myself lately is, would I want to bring this to my new house? And if the answer is no, I'm getting rid of it. I want this new home, wherever it is out there, to truly feel like a fresh start. So I ended up filling up 3 trash bags today worth of donations and trash, which was not planned, but there's nothing like a move to get you really taking a second look at every single thing that you have and deciding whether or not you need it. Do you want to take the time and effort to pack it up and move it, or is it not worth that? One area that I knew for sure I could pack up quite a bit of is my little office corner. Yes, if you're new here, this cabinet is basically my entire office. This is where I run my business out of. This is where I keep all my supplies, electronics, everything I need. But there's quite a bit of stuff in here that I'm not using on a daily basis, like for example, my Cricut supplies. As much as I love and adore my Cricut machines, I'm not using them every day. I have a pretty good collection of materials for my Cricut, but it's more than I need at this very moment. This space would be better utilized being emptied out.
It's easy enough for me to run to the store and grab a roll of vinyl if I truly need it. So for now, my Cricut supplies are being packed up. I'm also packing up a good bit of my craft supplies. These craft supplies are separate from my kids' stuff. They use like washable Crayola paint, but if I'm needing paint for something, I have acrylic, and I just can't see myself needing that in the immediate future. So that's being packed up along with some other kind of random crafty things. But you might be asking yourself, if you don't need it every day, why are you keeping it at all and packing it away? Sometimes things just serve a specific purpose, even if infrequently. No, I'm not painting every day, but acrylic paint sets can be pricey, and I know I will use this again, so I'd like to keep it. What you choose to keep is entirely up to you. There is no like one size fits all when it comes to living more minimally and decluttering. What's important to me may not be important to you, and vice versa. So for me, this stuff is worth packing up and keeping to bring to our next home, but you'll see there is plenty of stuff in today's video that doesn't make the cut. I started to go through these drawers here, initially thinking I was just packing stuff up, which is why I grabbed this white bin, but on second thought, I couldn't remember the last time I saw my kids use like any of the stuff that I put in there, so why am I keeping it? Sometimes random objects can hold sentimental value for me, especially my kids' toys, but both my kids had outgrown this stuff. It was just taking up space at this point, and it was time to let it go. I knew there was random stuff in this cabinet that I didn't get rid of my first go around with decluttering and had not touched since. So I wanted to get those things out of here, but what I didn't realize was waiting for me in this cabinet was a pile of paperwork waiting to be sorted through. Sometimes, honestly, out of pure laziness, I will just shove papers that I know need to be filed away into our little filing system instead of taking the time to actually file them away. So it makes what could have been a tiny quick job a super long one. It's really my own fault. I ended up having to spend quite some time going through the papers that I'd shoved in here. So moral of the story, don't be like me. Procrastination very rarely pays off, and a lot of the time you just end up making so much more work for yourself. I was able to get rid of a lot of this, and yes, I do have a paper shredder for this kind of stuff, but there are some things I prefer to keep a paper copy of, so those things I made sure to just file away into our little filing system that we have. We may end up needing some of these important documents over the next few months, especially going through like a mortgage process and house hunting and all of that. So this filing system is not something I was able to pack away, but it's also something very easy to move when the time comes, so I'm not too worried about it. This side of the cabinet is where I keep all my kids' craft supplies. Like I said, my stuff is separate from theirs. So just like with the toys, I'm definitely not about to pack all of this up on them. I would so prefer they're playing with toys or doing crafts or going outside over the alternative of staring at screens. So I'll continue to encourage those things by keeping a pretty good collection of stuff out for them. But that being said, I knew I could minimize what's kept in here just a little bit to make it easier to stay on top of. As you can imagine, having 2 kids who have easy access to the craft cabinet and are capable of grabbing things for themselves as they need it, it can get a bit unruly. And again, I'm really just trying to make space to put things away quickly when we need to, and also make the packing process much easier later on when it really has to get done. So that is my goal as I'm going through this space. Something that's really helped me as I'm decluttering for our future home is asking myself, would I buy this again for my next home? And I'm finding that my answer is more often than not a no. And I just figured I'd share that because even if you're not moving, maybe just asking yourself that question might help you get rid of a few more things than you may have otherwise. I remembered that I forgot to update our family calendar for the new month because it was April when I was filming this video, but my calendar still said March. So I wanted to clean my calendar off, and then also this envelope that I keep here, I honestly have not touched most of what's in here in a really long time. So that's a pretty good indication to me that I can get rid of some stuff. There are some things that I do keep in there, like my son's school lunch calendar. I have a contact list for my other son's preschool, like the other parents and stuff. And there's just a few kind of important pieces of paperwork that I want to have handy when I need them. But for the most part, I was able to get rid of just about everything that was kept in that envelope, and then of course updated our family calendar. I always look forward to doing this every month, and especially as we approach the summertime and the months get closer and closer to like June, July. It just makes me so happy that we're getting closer to the warm time of year. But now we're going to work on decluttering our entryway, and I had some big plans for this space. This is going to be potential buyers' first impression of our home, so it cannot be overly cluttered. I have worked super hard to try and maximize the space to the best of its ability, but we need to downsize majorly. Again, I'm trying to live as minimally as possible for a while, so I wanted to go through absolutely everything that we keep in here and around here on these hooks and inside of our coat closet too. This shoe storage really did serve its purpose, but honestly, I have never liked it. From the moment I first tried to install it and it didn't fit properly on our door, I was like, this is a nightmare. But I made it work because I didn't want to waste money, and again, I was trying to maximize the space, and that particular shoe organizer just had a lot of space, so I felt like that was the right move. But I could not have been happier to be able to take that thing down because it didn't fit, like I said, and it was making it really hard for me to close this door, so it just had to go. Now we're going to go ahead and remove everything from this closet besides the coats. And the reason why I'm not taking the coats out is because I do have a winter coat bin, so I'd rather just move the winter coats into that bin as soon as we finally start to get warm stretches of weather and I think that we can be done with them. But for now, I'm going to keep them in the coat closet until we're for sure done with this weather. But I'm going to take every single other thing out of here so I can try to minimize as much as possible. It is insane how much you can really stuff into a tiny closet when you try hard enough. So this is the pile of junk that we're dealing with, and I was able to get rid of so much of this. I am not one to keep things just in case anymore. I try not to do that, but I did have quite a few pairs of shoes that were basically brand new that I had bought for my oldest son, and my oldest is very, very picky about the way that shoes fit. He always has been. My toddler, not so much. He doesn't seem to have that same trait. So a lot of these shoes that my oldest like refused to wear more than once or twice are still brand new and they're not quite fitting my toddler yet. So I am going to hold on to those because they're perfectly good pairs of shoes that are practically brand new that will hold up for the next little bit until my youngest is able to wear them. So I did go ahead and pack up stuff like that into the box because obviously I'm not going to be needing that really anytime soon. And then I did also go through all of the hats and all of the gloves and got rid of as much as possible. Honestly, when it comes to that stuff, I really want a fresh start because some of them are just like old and raggedy at this point. Some of them are missing their pair or their match. So they're pretty much useless to us. So I think going into next winter, when hopefully we are in a different house, I will go ahead and just buy everybody a new pair of gloves. But something I did not pack away in all of this was our summer stuff. I have my little bog bag dupe. I forget what brand. I think it's Simply Modern actually that I got my little bag from. So I did go ahead and put that back into the coat closet because we will need that stuff hopefully soon when the weather starts to warm up. And now I'm separating out some of my trash from my donations. This closet has come such a long way since I first decluttered it. I feel like this used to be just a hub of so much junk, but honestly, it's not too bad these days. We keep mostly just our cat's food, we keep paper towels, and I keep some of my vacuums and vacuum parts in here, so really not too bad. But I did want to take out our ice cream maker because I can't see myself using that in the near future, and I do want to just get that packed up for wherever we end up next. And then there were just a couple other little random things that ended up in here that I wanted to declutter, and I wanted to go through this bin to make sure that I still own some of the vacuums that I had attachments for. I do receive vacuums for my job here on YouTube, and I do give those things away, so sometimes I end up with attachments that I don't even know which vacuum they went to and who has it and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have any of that stuff laying around. I knew I wanted to take out our slumber pod and put that into a box to pack away for our next home, and that there were definitely some other things in my son's closet that I could go ahead and pack up or get rid of. Again, I'm just trying to make my life easier when we do list our house so that it's easy to just quickly kind of shove things away when they need to be cleaned up before showings. And this closet, I feel like, is prime real estate for some of that random junk to go in a pinch. So I wanted to make sure that I emptied out some of this space. Plus, I just know that some of these things we are not going to need in the near future, and it would be perfectly fine to pack them away. But the entire time that I was doing this, I was finding myself frustrated with how many books we have. And I just kept thinking to myself, I really should go through these. I really should declutter these. But you guys might know I do struggle a little bit with sentimental value when it comes to books. I have got so much better at this in so many different areas of my life, but when it comes to my kids' books, I still really, really struggle. So the entire time I was in his room trying to go through things, trying to declutter, trying to figure out what I wanted to pack, what we need to keep, etc., I was just thinking about the books in the back of my mind and stressing about the books and what am I going to do with all these books. And I'm proud to say that I didn't do it on camera. I ended up doing it off camera, but I did go through the books and I was able to declutter quite a few, and I feel really, really good about that because it's something that I struggle with. And what's funny is that I have found myself kind of not feeling motivated to read books with my toddler lately. Like, obviously we read books, but I find that trying to pick a book feels stressful. There's too many options, and I feel like my toddler feels the same way. And after going through the books and really minimizing and narrowing the books down, I feel like both of us are a lot more excited to pick a book to read. Like, it's just so much easier with less overwhelm and less options. So anyway, my point in all of this is that if you have something similar that you struggle with to declutter and you hold a lot of sentimental value in it, I hope that this inspires you to go through it, and you might surprise yourself at what you're able to get rid of and how good you feel after. I did decide to go ahead and take down my son's bookshelves on the back of his door, as well as a hook that we had, and quickly just spackle over some of the screw holes. And this just kind of makes it feel so much more real that we are trying to move out of this house as I'm taking down some of the things that I so thoughtfully put up in the first place. But that is going to be it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this one and that you are excited to come along on the journey with us as we look for a new home and we minimize our lives as much as possible. Don't forget to check out FabFitFun. I will have all that information in my description box down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you again next week for another video.
I wasn't going to film this, but I just opened up the freezer and realized how disgusting it is. You guys will have to just wait and see. So I think I'm just gonna suck it up and film this today because this needs to be cleaned out so bad.
Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today we have another installment of my Fresh Start Declutter series as we prep our home to hopefully list it very soon and move. I'm trying to live as minimally as possible so that it makes things easier for us when we do list our house and move. I spent the last year going through my entire house and decluttering it fully, so it's amazing that I'm still able to find things to get rid of to this day. But we are going to be donating as much as possible and packing up as much as possible just to make our lives easier through a very stressful time of trying to find a new home and hopefully listing ours very soon. So today we are decluttering and cleaning out our freezer. Like I said, it had been a very long time since I had done this, and I would love to know how often you guys are doing this chore, because I personally think this one is the worst and I don't enjoy doing it at all, which is why I put it off for so long. But this is definitely one of those things that's worth getting done. When you do get it done, you feel so much better and you're able to find everything and see everything, and it's worth the pain in the butt that this chore truly is. But besides just going through our freezer and cleaning and decluttering it, we are also going to be doing some cleaning and decluttering in both of my kids' rooms today as well, in preparation for all that is to come. So I hope this video leaves you feeling motivated and inspired today. And if you're new to my channel, I hope that you will subscribe if you enjoy things like this. I post cleaning and decluttering videos every single week, and this was the longest intro ever, but I hope you guys enjoy this week's video. All right, here's how it's looking after. Much less disgusting. Much less stuff in here. I swear it had been probably over a year since I last did this. So this was much needed. Feeling good. So like I said, we are going to be decluttering and cleaning in my kids' rooms in preparation for the new season coming and also for our potential move, hopefully soon. I really want to minimize as much as possible to make my life easier in the next few months. You guys know that the process of trying to look for a home, buy a home, sell a home is incredibly stressful. So the less stuff that I have in my house, I think the less stressed out I'm going to feel. And since we are approaching nicer weather, hopefully, fingers crossed, I wanted to go through my kids' wardrobes to make sure that I'm getting things out of there that they're no longer wearing or that they won't need for the next few months. So first I went through my toddler's closet. I did decide to leave a few things for the winter months in his closet just in case it remains cold for a little bit longer, because it very well could. But I will pack those things up once the cold finally makes its way out of here, hopefully soon. And then I did have some of his summer and spring stuff in his dresser, so I'm going through that just to kind of take inventory of what I already have for him and figure out what he may need for the coming season.
I was able to pack up so much just from going through his closet and his dresser, but you guys will see later, we're also going to go through some of the back stock that I have. If you watched my whole house declutter series, I had been hoarding my kids' clothing basically from when my first was born up until like a year ago. And so we had totes and totes and totes full of baby and toddler clothes, and I was able to consolidate it down to a very small selection for each size. So we are going to go through that backlog for my toddler's current size, and that will be a little bit later in today's video. I would love to know what is one thing that made the buying and selling process easier for you if you have gone through it. We've done this a few times and it has been stressful every time. And every time we do this, we say we're never doing it again. But yeah, here we are. This time in our life feels pretty chaotic. I am a stay-at-home mom, but I also run my business here on YouTube, and it's the best job ever, but it's still a job and it can be hard. So juggling the kids, all their activities and their schedules with my work schedule, plus maintaining our home and going through the buy and sell process, it's a lot. And now we are filling up our trash bag with everything I was able to declutter from my toddler's wardrobe, and I'm not storing any of this away in my house. All of this is going to be donated. But now we're going to go ahead and pull out his crib to clean underneath it, because I happened to notice that his crib was looking really disgusting when I had looked under it the other day looking for a toy. So I figured now was as good a time as any for me to get this chore done. I had washed his bedding the day before, but his mattress protector needed to be air dried and it was not dry until this morning. So I took his bed back apart so that I could put the mattress protector on. And I always get questions about his bed rail whenever I show this. That is a foam bed rail that I put underneath his fitted sheet, and it just keeps him from rolling out of his bed. He does have like the rails on his toddler bed here, but he still manages to find a way to roll out. I just think too that the bed rail, like the foam bed rail, makes him feel more secure and more comfortable. So for now, we're going to continue using that. We also use this with my older son for a really long time, and I'd rather be a little bit extra and have that extra bed rail than have my toddler fall out and hit his head in the middle of the night. So it's fine by me to have that little bit of an extra step. And next we are going through all of my older son's laundry. So this was fresh out of the dryer. I wanted to make sure that I folded everything and got it all organized into categories. And while I was folding all the laundry, I of course was figuring out if there was anything that we could go ahead and part with. My oldest is so rough on his clothes. It's insane. He's just a very physical kid. He loves to play outside and roll around on the ground and throw himself on the ground while he's playing football, and just he's very athletic and crazy, and so his clothes definitely take a beating. Every single year by the time March hits, I would say all of his jeans have holes in the knees, all of his shirts are stained, and it's just impossible for me to keep up with, honestly. As he's gotten older, I've been able to keep less and less and less of his clothes for his younger brother because they just get beaten to shreds. So it looks like he has a ton of stuff, but honestly he needs to, because he is a disaster and he's always having to change his outfits because he gets filthy, and it just is what it is. He's just a kid being a kid. And now we're going to work on putting away all of his shirts and getting all of those hung up and organized. There was quite a few things in his closet that I was able to get rid of. My oldest has always been a really big kid. He was like 99th percentile height and weight when he was born, and he's pretty much maintained that his entire life. He's super tall and he just grows so quickly, and so his clothes really don't last us a super long time between how rough he can be on them and also with just how quickly he grows out of things. So there was quite a bit of stuff I was able to get rid of, and I did end up having to go out and get him a couple new things because he just didn't have enough in his current size. I usually shop at Old Navy or Target for my kids, and I try to wait for sales so that I'm not spending a bazillion dollars on something that they're going to destroy. But I'm curious if you guys like to go thrifting for your kids' clothes, because I'm considering doing just a little bit more of that in the future and seeing if I can find some nice stuff at the thrift store. Because again, my kids are just so rough on their clothes and they destroy them, and I feel like there's no reason to pay full price for clothing at this point in their childhood. And now we're gonna do the dreaded task of matching up socks. This is like my least favorite thing to do. And once again, I had to buy my son new socks because all of his were either missing their matches or they were completely ripped up. I had someone tell me that potentially the reason why my kids' socks rip so quickly is because we have vinyl flooring throughout our house, and something about the friction of walking on vinyl flooring, I guess, can wear down your socks pretty quickly. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I've just had people comment that and tell me that before, but it makes sense to me. So I'm curious if anyone else who has vinyl floor notices that your socks get worn down super fast. I was only able to donate a couple of my older son's things because, again, they just get destroyed. And then I did have to go ahead and throw away a couple of things, but that is the full trash bag of things I was able to donate just from my kids' clothing. And now I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning up in my older son's room. One project that I've been thinking about doing in preparation for our move is repainting my son's room. He has this orange wall here, and I know that buyers a lot of the time like to just see white walls so they can kind of envision their own style and their own decorations and their own paint colors and everything like that in the house. So I am thinking about painting over that just to make it more neutral when we do go ahead and list our house for sale. We also are doing some outdoor projects as well. My husband's been working really hard on getting our lawn ready and cleaning up the front yard and the backyard. We're planning on remulching out front just so that it looks nice and clean, but it's amazing how many projects come up when you were thinking about listing your house, and also how many projects you get done that you've been procrastinating on for years. We had a spot on the back of our house that was completely unpainted for the last almost 3 years since we went through our renovations. We used to have a door in our living room that led out to the backyard, and if you guys have been around for a long time, you might remember that, and we did cover that door up and close it in when we went through all of our renovations, but we never painted our house where they had to fix all the siding back there. So I did finally go ahead and paint that a couple of weeks ago, but I procrastinated on that for so long, and I finally painted it, and not because I really cared or wanted to, but because I knew that when we listed our house, that was something that definitely would need to be done. We are definitely going to need to go through my oldest son's room together to pack up the things that he thinks he can live without. for the near future because his room is probably the hardest room in my house to keep clean. He just has a lot of stuff. He's a collector at heart, which is polar opposite from me. I'm like the throw it all out kind of person, but he would keep pretty much anything if I let him. So that's a project that we'll definitely have to do together, and it's something that I'll for sure do off camera. My toddler does not care about what I pack up or what I keep in his room or what I don't keep in his room. He truly doesn't care. As long as he has like his few favorite toys, he's all good. But my older son can definitely be a little bit more opinionated, and I'm of course going to respect that. So I'm not going to pack up any of his stuff. Right now I'm just focusing on keeping his room as tidy as possible, and he and I will go through his room together and pack up what we think he can live without.
Might remember I did a whole declutter project in my basement where I went through all of my kids' clothing that I had been hoarding since my first was a baby. And I very carefully organized all the sizes into bins this size so that it's a lot less than what I used to keep of their clothes. And so anyway, I was really surprised when I just picked this one up out of the basement to go through it, since this is my toddler's current size, that there's really not that much in here. So I'm having like a proud of myself moment because I feel like it's just like one of those times where I'm noticing how much progress I've made in not holding on to things that I don't need. But anyway, I'm gonna go through this bin and just see if there's anything that I can use for him for the summer coming up. And I'm gonna store some of the things that I do want to keep from this past winter that may potentially still fit him when the fall comes. So we're gonna do a little bit of swapping out here in the bin, but I just had to share because it was a proud of myself moment. I remember my oldest wearing all this stuff, and this is just bringing back all the memories and the feelings right now. I can't put away all of this yet because it is actually still cold outside. We woke up to snow this morning. Today is April 11th as I'm filming this video, and we woke up to snow today. So I can't put all of it away, but he can definitely survive for the next month with a very minimal collection. He can repeat outfits, it's gonna be fine.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride. A new man passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt. Get me up, somewhere new, somewhere I can find myself. Oh, I feel so alive. As I reach out to the sky.
I think we are definitely prepared for the next season. So all of this is stuff that I saved. Actually, this is too, from my oldest. And then everything else, some of these are just his like few cold weather options. And then things that I had purchased for him for the summer. So he should be good this summer on t-shirts. And then he also has all of these are shorts that I had saved from my oldest. So he's good on shorts. He has 2 pairs of pants in here and a pair of sweatpants, so he's just gonna have to rotate through some things for the next little bit. And then in here we have some other summer options and some bathing suits. Some of these are sets, so this is like a matching set. But I think he's definitely good for the season. It has been about a year since we did our big basement declutter. It has been been about a year since we did our big basement declutter, and I figured it was time to do a little bit of maintenance on this space. It's not that bad actually. We haven't added too much additional clutter. Honestly, it's just really untidy right now. So there's a lot of tidying up that needs to be done. Dusting, I might go through a few things, get rid of some other stuff because you can always find something else to declutter. But yeah, we're gonna work on the basement today because the weather's disgusting. So I feel like I have nothing better to do, and this definitely needs to get done, especially if hopefully soon we're gonna be able to list this house and sell it, which I know I talk about all the time and it hasn't happened yet, but this real estate market is atrocious, which I'm sure a lot of you already know. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this stuff cleaned up.
When I tell you this basement was filthy, I am not kidding. I try not to spend much time down here, honestly. It's dark, there's a lot of spiders, it's just not really my vibe. So a lot of the time I will honestly just chuck things down the stairs to deal with later. I will really only come down here when I have to do laundry, and things have certainly piled up, as you can see. I kept running into a situation where I couldn't find any of my microfiber cleaning cloths, and that's because they were all buried underneath this pile of laundry. So this was desperately needed because I cannot continue using paper towels when I'm cleaning. Another thing I am so over is having a duvet cover and a duvet insert. It is such a pain when you're trying to clean them. So I had mine just sitting down here in the basement. It could have been months at this point, honestly. So I decided to finally take them apart so I could clean them, but I am dreading the day that I put these back on my bed. They're so warm and cozy. It's my favorite to sleep with, but seriously, who has time? So anyway, I started with sorting through all of the laundry that was sitting on the floor, putting it into categories so that I could get all that laundry done. And then I realized my husband had laundry in the dryer and he had laundry in the wash. So I had to wait for all of that to go before I could actually get any of the other laundry going in the basement. Like I said earlier, it has been about a year since I did our big basement declutter. I think there were 3 or 4 parts in that series, so if you were not around then, I would highly recommend that you go check out those videos. This was easily the most important step in my entire decluttering journey. We had been carrying so much clutter from house to house for so many years, and it was stressing me out. I could never find anything, and it made me not even want to try to find anything because I knew how difficult it would be to get into bins and all the piles. So if everything's in piles collecting dust that you can't bother to go through, what is the point in keeping it? I got rid of so much stuff, and now I know where everything is, and it's made such a huge difference. As always, I donate whatever is salvageable, whatever is good, but if something is disgusting, I'm going to throw it away. So I'm throwing away quite a few things here from this pile, and then I was bringing up those laundry baskets. Those are actually my kids' hampers that I use for their dirty laundry, and they'd been sitting down here for way too long, not being used, so I finally brought those back upstairs. I think about a year ago now, I made the switch over to Truly Free laundry detergent, and I was a really big fan of it, and then I completely fell off the bandwagon, not because I didn't enjoy it or because it didn't work, but because I just forgot to reorder it. So I ended up picking up whatever at Target, and now I'm just using like the normal stuff again, the Tide, the Gain, which I don't prefer. I definitely prefer to use the Truly Free for my family. My son has really sensitive skin, and so does my husband. My toddler doesn't seem to have that same issue, but both my older son and my husband do. So using the Truly Free detergent made such a difference, and I definitely need to get back on that and stop using the other stuff from the store. It also just made my laundry routine so simple and minimal, which is something that I really, really appreciate as someone who's been working hard to live a more minimal lifestyle and declutter my home over the last year and a half.
Okay, so we are making progress in the basement, but it is muggy in my house. I'm hot right now. I need to take a break. I'm gonna have a Diet Coke break. This is actually a new thing for me. Fun fact, I did not drink soda for the longest time. I used to drink it when I was a kid a little bit, and then I think around like 3rd grade, 4th grade, I decided that I just didn't like it and I stopped drinking it. But all of a sudden, I've kind of picked up the Diet Coke habit, which I know it's not the best for you, but once a week or so, I think I'm gonna be okay. Important first step is a nice glass, but arguably the most important step is the ice. And I think everybody knows that nugget ice is elite. I used to be a big crushed ice person, like just from the fridge, but then I got the eCozy Smart Nugget Ice Maker. Game changer. Okay, we have our ice. Something else I also like to add is some true lime, but because this is a mini can, I only like to add like half, otherwise it's too much. I'm going to enjoy this crispy Diet Coke, and then we're gonna get back in the basement and keep working.
These cobwebs and spiders have been living on the ceiling of my basement rent-free for far too long, so I decided to go around and try to suck up as many as I possibly could in the vacuum. Just the thought of being down here doing laundry and having a creepy crawly spider land on my head or something while I'm trying to do stuff is enough to send me completely over the edge, so I just knew I had to do this before I continued on trying to clean or declutter anything in my basement. Again, if you did not watch any of my basement declutter videos, I would definitely recommend that you go back and watch those for like a true decluttering experience. But right now I'm just sort of tidying things up and going through stuff just a little bit, and I'm trying to consolidate things. So like our suitcases, they all go together and they ended up not together, so that was taking up a ton of extra space. But every single one of these bins that you're seeing here, I have already gone through each individual item and sorted through everything, so there really was not much for me to get rid of. And I know it looks like there's still a lot down here, but if you saw the before, it was baffling. It was mind-blowing. So we've definitely made a ton of progress. The only additional clutter I can think of that we've added is a couple of throw pillows for Christmas. And then I think I did add one additional Christmas decor bin around the Christmas season. But other than that, everything is pretty much exactly the same as it was a year ago when I went through this process. It can be so easy to just shove things in your basement and forget about them. I feel like it's like the easiest place in your house to just throw things, but we have definitely not fallen back into that habit at all since going through the process, and I'm super proud of us for that. I have remained a lot more intentional about what I bring into my home and also what I keep in my home. If you guys have been watching my channel, then you might know that we are considering a move to North Carolina. We're not 100% sure, but it's definitely something that we're still talking about and still considering. But something that we have noticed about North Carolina, or at least the area that we are looking in, is that the homes don't have basements in them. So I'm like, what would we do with all this stuff? Where are we supposed to store our seasonal decor and the kids' clothes that they've grown out of or that they're going to grow into and whatnot? Because that's pretty much all that's over there on these shelves. So I'm just really curious what we're supposed to do with all that stuff if we don't have a basement. I had enough trash down here to completely fill up a contractor-sized trash bag, which I totally was not expecting because, again, I didn't really go into this thinking I was going to declutter much. So yay for continuing to get rid of things and also for doing the job that no one wants to do. I truly hate being in my basement and having to clean it, so to get this done feels like such a weight lifted off my shoulders. I don't know what is always leaking onto this deep freezer, but it's always disgusting. I feel like I have to wash this thing constantly, but here's your reminder to replace your air filters in your house. It was definitely time for me to replace mine. As you can see, there was the old one and there's the new one. So just reminding you, make sure you do that in your house as well.
Okay, so this is where we're at. That's clean laundry. Obviously I have more laundry going in the dryer, laundry going in the wash, and then this is all laundry that's going to need to get done today, so I'll be coming up and down the stairs a bunch of times. But this is how everything else is looking. So if you saw my declutter videos, this pretty much looks exactly the way it did before, minus my husband now started ironing, so he's got the ironing board out and he wheeled this over. Still hasn't gone through it. That's like a bunch of clothes that he hasn't worn, I'm pretty sure, since we moved into here in 2021. So
not my stuff to go through, but for the most part, like all my kids' clothing organization looks the same. This organization up here, all my seasonal stuff is here. So for the most part, everything still looks pretty organized, and this should make our lives easier when it's time to move because all of this is already packed for the most part.
The rest of the basement is pretty much all my husband's stuff, so there's only so much I can do, but the parts I can control look a lot better.
I figured while it was at it, we would do the next job that I've been absolutely dreading, which is cleaning these stairs. I know that the white paint was a horrible choice when we moved in here. There actually used to be, I think it was like a red colored carpet that went all the way down these stairs, and it was so hideous. So we ripped up the red carpet, and then my husband painted the stairs white, which I don't really even know what other color we would have painted them, but they get so dirty. You can see everything. I feel like I did a pretty good deep clean of these stairs not too long ago, but they're already awful again. So I just went ahead and vacuumed all the stairs, and then I put a little bit of floor cleaner mixed with some hot water in a bowl and grabbed a scrub brush, and I just went along and scrubbed every single stair as best as I could. They're definitely not going to look perfect, but they will look a lot better when I'm done. I'm wondering if I should have my husband repaint these before we go ahead and list the house, just so they look that much cleaner, but I don't know if it's even worth that, honestly. But if you guys have any suggestions on what to do about these stairs, please leave them in the comments below. I know I've seen people who have like little grips that they've put on each stair, and I feel like that might help a little bit to make it look less disgusting, but I don't know. So again, I could use any advice in the comments. And again, these don't look perfect, but they look a lot better. And
Guys, it's official, we are moving. So I will talk all about that probably in a coming video, but for today we are going to start packing. We've already started packing, but we're going to continue packing, and we're also going to be working on some projects to get my house ready to go on the market. So this is really happening. We're so excited. Yesterday was actually Mother's Day, so I took the day off from getting things done in the house, so therefore my house is a disaster. So I'm paying for it today. So we got to get cleaned up in here, do some house projects, and do some packing. We don't close for over a month, but I like to get ahead of things. I want to make sure that we are fully packed and ready to go early, and we're gonna live as minimally as possible for the next month and a half before we move into our new house. And of course, with any move, you want to purge as much as possible. So while we're packing, we're going through everything. We're getting rid of things that we don't need. We're only bringing the things we absolutely love and need to our new house. So let's go ahead and get some stuff done.
okay, so first off, I had to get some things put away and tidied up before I could start going through things. You guys, I am so excited to share everything about our move. I just need a little bit of time before I get into details. Anything could happen in this process. We have learned that firsthand, so it will be a little bit before I'm ready to share more, but I'm determined to make this move easier than our last one. If you're new to my channel, I have been slowly decluttering our home over the last year and a half, and I did this because we had moved a few times prior, and due to life circumstances, I just did not do a good go through of our things the last few times, and we ended up with so much crap we were bringing from house to house that we never used. I don't want to do that again, so I've been prepping for this for quite some time. It makes me so sad to say this, but I may end up listing this table for sale. I got this from Article several years ago. It was actually one of my first big sponsors that I had ever worked with on my channel, and I love this cabinet, but I just don't think that it goes with the style of our new house, so I may end up listing it for sale, and that makes me so sad. We have so many projects that we need to do around our house to get it ready to list. Aside from just deep cleaning, I've been trying to chip away at them here and there, but it's a bunch of little things, and I'm sure you know how that stuff tends to add up. My husband has worked really hard on the exterior of our house, so that part's mostly done. The work that really needs to happen is in our bathroom. We share one very small bathroom in this house and it gets yucky so quickly. I need to really work on cleaning that space up. The walls are kind of gross and need a good clean. The baseboards need some work. It's just finding the time to do these things when you're also going through the mortgage process and work and kids and activities. We are in a very, very busy season right now. If you saw my last video, you might have seen me talk about my new ice maker. I decided to get that totally cleaned out and dried so that I could put that away into storage for our new house because I just need to have less things sitting on my countertops. While we're on the topic of moving, I would love to hear all your moving tips. What is something that made your move easier that you'd recommend? We've done this more than a few times, and something that we will always do is hire movers. It's worth the money, truly. I would not do it any other way at this point. I actually asked ChatGPT for some moving tips and it was able to remind me of some things I had forgotten about. So first of all, calling utility companies to cancel things, switch things over, set up new accounts. That part of the moving process might be the worst for me because I hate getting on the phone and talking. And then also having to contact the post office to make sure our mail is being forwarded. There are just so many different steps in the moving process aside from packing. It can be so overwhelming. I'm really just trying to take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and not think of the whole process as a whole, because as soon as I start doing that, I can find myself in panic mode. I just hope that this is the last time that we have to do this for a very long time, because we have moved so many times in the last 8 years and I'm just ready to be settled.
Okay, while I'm pulling out my steam mop from the closet, I thought of this. We had an incident the other day where my toddler decided to color all over the floors in our house, like all over the floors, and he used Sharpie. Naturally, the first time in his life he's ever colored on something other than paper. It was on my floors with a Sharpie marker. So anyway, I spent forever. I spent like a good hour and a half on my hands and knees scrubbing the floor, and if you didn't know, hairspray actually helps to loosen up the permanent marker, but it's not perfect, so I had to keep doing layers of hairspray, and then I had floor cleaner in a bucket with a scrubbing brush, and I spent so long trying to clean my floors, and they were really sticky from all the hairspray. So when I was done, which by the way, the permanent marker is not all the way out, you can still see the stain if you look hard enough, but when I was done, I went to grab my steam mop and plugged it in so that I could clean the floors and get them to be less sticky from the hairspray, and the steam mop wouldn't work. It wouldn't heat up, wouldn't produce any steam. The water was not coming out of the bottom on the pads, so this thing is trash. It doesn't work anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss this, and then I'll have to buy a new one when we move into our new house.
Okay, so let's officially get to the packing. We're gonna start going through my kitchen cabinets. My goal here is to grab the things we love but can live without for the next month, and to declutter anything I can along the way too. I've said this a few times before, but I'm asking myself, would I buy this brand new for our new house? And if the answer is no, I'm getting rid of it. I'm so excited for a fresh start in a new space, and I don't want to bring any dead weight with me. I ended up being mostly able to completely clear out this cabinet in the corner, but I was surprised at how much trash I was able to find. My son and I had gone to a candy store together. I want to say it was months and months ago at this point, and I think we both completely forgot that we had all that candy in here, and a lot of it was opened and partially eaten, so I did just go ahead and get rid of that stuff. I also did get rid of a few of, like, I guess our travel cups, if you want to call them that. We don't really use more than a few of like our stainless steel cups when we go out somewhere, so I don't know why we've held on to so many for so long. I've kind of slowly been decluttering them over the last year, but I finally said enough was enough, and I got rid of the last few that we never use that we've been hanging on to for no reason. I will say that because I've put in all the work to declutter my house over the last year and a half, I feel like the packing process I'm already noticing is so much easier than it was the last time. If I had not done the work in our basement especially, I think I would be full on panicking right now about trying to pack up our house, but I did all of that. Our basement is so much more organized than it was before. So I feel like that space especially is going to be very easy for movers because pretty much everything is already packed up in containers and it has all already been gone through, so that feels really good to have that huge project off of my back. The only room that I'm a little stressed out to pack up is my son Carson's. I think that the two of us are going to have to do it together because I really would love for him to declutter some things. He tends to hold on to a lot, and I think it's just something that kids do. I think it's just his age. So I think he's going to have kind of a hard time trying to pack up things and pick things to donate. But we will figure it out, I'm sure. And he is so excited about his new room at the new house. He's already picked out which one is his and he cannot wait for us to move. So I think he'll be good about it because he's so excited to move. When I was doing some decluttering at my mom's house, she gave me these little ceramic pottery pieces that I had made back in, I think, like 2001, maybe 2002, and I was like 10 years old or something when I made them. And she gave them to me and said I could do with them what I want. I could throw them away or I could keep them, and I did keep them. But when I was going through this cabinet on this day, I was like, am I really going to wrap these in bubble wrap and bring them to my new house? Nothing against my childhood self, but it just is not my current style and I can't see myself ever using them for anything. So I did go ahead and get rid of them. And I'm sharing this because I know that a lot of other people struggle with sentimental items and decluttering, but hopefully this gives you a little bit of spark so that if you have something you've been hanging on to that you really don't need, maybe you'll be able to part with it. Now, something about our new house, a little fact, is that we actually don't have a pantry in the new house, which is something that was definitely on my list of things that I really wanted and thought that I needed in my new house, but it truly checks off every other box, so I think I'll live without a dedicated pantry. But I will definitely need to put in some sort of pantry cabinet in our little breakfast nook area or somewhere in the kitchen because we for sure need some space in order to store food separately from everything else in the kitchen. So I'm excited to get creative with that and share whatever I come up with. If you guys remember, when I lived in my apartment, I did 2 different kitchen organization videos where I put together 2 different pantry cabinet options. So it'll be fun for me to bring that back. Like I said earlier, I think I do plan to sell this cabinet, so what I'm going to do is empty it out as much as I can. There are some things that I didn't take out yet, like my kids' construction paper, their markers and crayons, because I want them to still be able to craft and do their little craft projects until we move. I don't want to take that completely away from them for the next month and a half. So I did leave some stuff in there, but I do want to try and sell this. So emptying out as much as possible was my goal. One thing that my new house does have, it does not have a pantry, but it does have an office for me, which is so exciting. I can't even begin to tell you guys how excited I am to have a more dedicated office space. So I am planning to put in a lot of storage in my office and be able to store all the kids' craft supplies in there. There will just be so many projects and I cannot wait to dive into all of them. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna work on is packing my clothes because I want to live
as minimally as possible for the next month and a half, and I just don't need all of this, so I'm just gonna pick out a small selection of clothes to keep. So if you see me repeating outfits in my videos, I don't want to hear it. So yeah, I'm gonna go through all this. I'm gonna put away like winter stuff, cold weather stuff, just keep out summer, and then a couple of warmer things just in case, because in New England we can still have cold days in May and June, sometimes even in July. You just never know. So I'm just going to pack up as much as possible, just keep a small selection. Also, we're planning to sell our furniture. We're going to sell this dresser, both of our nightstands, and our other dresser, and then we're going to trash our bed frame because that thing is horrible. It's not salvageable. I wouldn't give it to my worst enemy, so I'm going to get rid of that and then try to sell this furniture so we can get a new set when we move.
I just want to say that I'm so glad that I ended up keeping some warmer items, because just as soon as I said that, the weather heard me or something, and now we're back in the high 40s and the low 50s here in Massachusetts. So I have been quite cold. Today I am wearing full-on like sweatpants and a sweatshirt because it's so cold. So it's just crazy. I don't understand what is going on with our weather here. Hopefully it officially warms up soon. My husband has also been doing this. He's been going through all of his clothes and decluttering them and packing up whatever he doesn't need to wear for the next little bit. I think he might even be more ready to move than I am, so he's been very, very motivated to pack up our house. I will have a lot more closet space where we're moving next, and I'm so thrilled about that. But I did so much decluttering of my clothes over the last year. I feel like my closet is going to look borderline empty. But I think that the thing I'm most excited about is that I'm going to be able to hang pretty much everything. I won't really need to fold things and put them in my dresser anymore. I'm sure that I've mentioned this more than 20 or 30 times, but I despise folding. So if I don't have to fold anymore, that is going to be game-changing for me. And if you're wondering where all of this stuff is going that I'm packing up, it is all going to a storage unit. So we ended up signing on for a storage unit for just a couple of months so that we can pack up our house and empty it out, and it would make the listing and selling of our house process a little bit easier. I think it will also make the moving process a little bit easier because we're just kind of slowly bringing boxes of things over there, and then when it's time for us to actually move, everything is like all in one place. My husband is making trips over there pretty much every single day to bring just a little bit at a time, and I think overall this will end up making our lives so much easier. Especially when it comes to showing our house. I have been through this process before. I know how terrible it is to have an open house and have a bunch of strangers coming into your house and having to keep your house clean for an extended period of time. That can be really hard, especially when we have so many things going on right now and with 2 children. So we're just trying to find any way we can to make that process a little bit less difficult. And having less stuff will definitely make it easier for us to keep the house clean. I went ahead and threw everything onto my bed that I planned to pack up and just started filling up a box with all of it. I didn't fold anything super meticulously or anything like that. I pretty much just threw it all into the box, and I will deal with it when we are in our new house. Next, we're going to go through my closet. Please don't mind the giant duvet insert sitting on top of my closet. This is what happens when you have no storage space. I just have nowhere else to put this stuff, and I currently was using a different quilt on my bed, so that's there. But yes, I'm going through my closet. I'm going to pare down as much as possible. I ended up putting so much away. My closet looks pretty close to empty now. Something that I still need to do that I have yet to do is take down the shoe organizer. I don't plan on needing really any of these pairs of shoes, so I'll definitely go through it and pick out the few that I might need, but for the most part, I'm going to pack all of those up for our new house.
I thought I could get away with a medium-sized box, but it's obvious that I cannot, so I'm gonna go make a large one.
Once we are all done filling up these last couple of boxes, I also had a container underneath my bed that I stored a lot of sweatshirts in, so I went ahead and went through that container to figure out what I could donate and what I wanted to keep and got those things packed up as well. But that is it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this one, and I also really hope you're excited for moving and all that is to come on my channel through this process. Again, leave me all your tips in the comments below because I could definitely use them, but again, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll come back again next time for another video.
Honestly, I'm not really feeling amazing today, but I don't have time to slow down because we are moving soon. So I think today I'm going to start packing up our downstairs playroom because that room is really hard for me to keep clean, and I need to make it easy when we have showings to get the house cleaned up quick. So I'm gonna head downstairs, pack up that stuff, and then I also think I'm planning on going through all of my makeup, skincare, and hair stuff to minimize that as much as possible, get rid of some things, and then pack up things that I don't need right now I can live without for the next month. So let's head downstairs and get started packing up the playroom.
I just want to say that I'm so glad that I started this whole process early, because now that we're about to enter the month of June, as I'm recording these voiceovers, the stress level I'm experiencing going into our move month is so high. And if I had not done all of this work going into this month, I really just do not even know how I would be able to function right now. So I'm so glad that I started early. And if I can give you any tip for moving, it would be that as soon as you start house hunting, start thinking about moving, definitely start minimizing your life and start packing. It truly cannot hurt you. It can only help you. Our new house does have a very large unfinished basement, which I'm really excited about, but we are planning to finish the entire basement, and it's going to be so nice as like a second family room / playroom. But I don't want to bring all of this stuff to the new house because honestly, 90% of it my kids haven't touched in years. You guys have watched me declutter this room so many times over the years. It's honestly amazing that there's still stuff left. Like, that must tell you how bad it was to begin with. And I'm really proud of our progress in here, but just now that we're moving, I'm looking at everything with a whole different set of eyes, and I just don't want to bring anything unnecessary. So I ended up donating so much stuff on this day. We had this room finished about a year after we moved into this house, I think, if I remember correctly. And I often think about what our lives would be like if we did not do this, because this room has been the hub for all of the toys and all of the chaos for years now in our house. And if we did not have this space and all the toys were still upstairs in our main living area, I think I would have completely lost my mind by now. So I'm just really glad that we did this. Even if it was a chaotic mess all the time, at least I could shut the door to this room and kind of forget about it, and it wasn't just like in my face all the time in my living room. But yeah, I'm just really, really glad that we ended up finishing this space, because it has been a true game changer for my family.
I feel really, really bad about this, but I am going to donate all these big dinosaurs because they were for my oldest son. He doesn't play with them anymore now that he's almost 8, but my youngest is terrified of them, and he is about to be 3.5, and I just feel like he's never gotten into them the way that my oldest has. So it's time to let these go because they are huge. They're just so dang expensive from what I remember.
The stars convey the light, so fragile in the night.
I'm also going to go through the dinosaur bin because we have so many and they end up just dumped on the floor, and I don't feel like my son plays with them very well that way. So I think I'm going to donate most of these and try to pare down the collection of dinosaurs. So the ones I'm going to keep, I'll put in here.
Forever be.
If I'm finding that my kids are just dumping something on the floor all the time, but they're not actually playing with it, that usually indicates to me that we have too much of something and it's just overwhelming for them. And that was definitely the case with these dinosaurs. They were always just being dumped out. Again, my oldest son was really into dinosaurs around my youngest's age, but my youngest is really not showing the same interest. Like, he is a little bit interested in dinosaurs, but my oldest was the kid who knew every single dinosaur's name. He knew fun facts about every single dinosaur. Dinosaurs were like his life. And I'm just not seeing that same interest in my toddler. So I didn't feel too bad about getting rid of a big chunk of dinosaurs, but now we're going through all of our storage system in this room. I think this system sounds good in theory, but honestly it ended up being a catch-all. As you can see here, things just kind of get shoved on top of the different shelves. Everything inside of the bins usually just gets mixed up in each other. The bins end up upstairs, downstairs, all over the place. I can never find half of them. We will for sure move this over to our new house, but I don't know if we'll keep it forever or if I'll end up selling it at some point and trying to come up with a different system for the toys. I ended up filling up 2 whole bags with things to donate, and then I had 1 box packed. A lot of the things in the closet cannot really be packed easily because they're so large, so most of that stuff will just have to be individually brought over by the movers. But I will definitely be going through everything again just to make sure that there's not anything I'd still like to get rid of.
There is a lot more I'm gonna have to do in here, but I definitely made some progress. Got 2 big trash bags out of here full of toys my kids haven't touched in a very long time. So really good about that, but there's definitely still some things in here that I'll need to pack up and get out of sight for when we have showings in our house. But I'm actually gonna go drop the donations off now because I don't want my kids to see them in the trunk of my car and start questioning things. So I'm gonna go drop those off and then grab my toddler from preschool.
The next space that I decided to go through was our bathroom because this is our one and only bathroom in this house. It just feels very small and very cramped and very overstuffed. No matter how minimal, I try to keep collections of things. When you're storing 4 people's worth of items, it can definitely be difficult to keep it under control, especially when the space is really small and it lacks like any ventilation. So as with any space that I'm kind of working on right now, I'm of course working on packing whatever we don't need in the moment, but I'm also just trying to make the space easy to clean so that when we do have showings, I can just easily kind of shove things away and wipe things down, and it doesn't take me a very long time. In general, the less stuff you have, the easier it will be to keep a space clean. Our new house does have its own master bathroom with a double vanity, and I am so excited to not have to share my sink and my space with anyone else anymore. That being said, somehow we do still only have 1 linen closet in the new house, despite it being like 2.5 times bigger than our current house. So I'll still have to get creative when it comes to stuff like that. But I think the thing that I'm most excited for is to not have to share my sink with little kids who like to spit their toothpaste all over the place, and have my own kind of clean and sanitary space all the time and not have to wipe it down like 4 times a day. I ended up being able to throw away quite a bit, so that's what I'm doing here. A lot of it was either expired or it was just empty and I had shoved it back into my makeup organizer. But now we're going to go through my medicine cabinet. Now this is something that I will not have in my new house, is a medicine cabinet in the bathroom, and this is something I will desperately miss. And honestly, I'm going to try and figure out if I can have these installed in our new bathroom at some point, because having all my stuff behind the mirror is amazing. Once you have a medicine cabinet, it's like really hard to go back to not having one. So I'm already trying to think of creative ideas for how I'm going to store all of my stuff. And if you hear my toddler in the background talking and coughing, he is here with me. It's amazing. We're almost in June, but we've had such cold and rainy weather. I think that's why we're all kind of sick right now. I have a sore throat. I've got a stuffy nose. My toddler's been coughing like crazy. My oldest has had a runny nose. It's just been crazy in this house because we are almost in the summertime at this point, and we just are so over all of the spring colds. Also, every single time we have ever moved, like I'm not even kidding, every single time I've ever moved, I've been sick when we moved. So I'm really hopeful that this time around I'm going to get the sickness out of the way before the move instead of on the day of. Now we're going to go through our vanity, and again, so excited to not have to share a vanity anymore in the new house. But I'm just going to go ahead and try to declutter as much as possible out of here and pack some things up. And of course, I had some help from my toddler. I ended up packing up 1 small box of things from in the bathroom, and then I had 1 bag of things to throw away. I had started packing up what was underneath our fireplace here right before we knew that we were actually moving, or like the date that we were going to move. So I didn't pack up everything because I just wasn't sure, but I wanted to get a head start. And today we're going to finish packing up everything that is in the fireplace. My toddler has had a very, very minimal set of toys ever since I started packing, but I feel like he's playing better than ever, and there's definitely something to be said about less is more when you have kids. Both of my kids love to be outside, and so I feel like my toddler has really been enjoying when it's not pouring outside, just being outside and running around and playing in the grass and looking for worms and bugs. You could literally give a kid like a paper cup and a plastic spoon to play with, and they would find something to do with it. So at the end of the day, you really just don't need all of this stuff. You don't need all of the latest and greatest of everything when it comes to toys. Most of our toys are very old at this point, prior to me going through my whole decluttering journey and trying to live more minimally. We collected a lot of things, and I'm still working on going through all of those things, but we really do not add anything new to our toy collection unless it's like a birthday or a holiday. So if I could give any advice to new moms, it would be to not fall for the marketing trap that makes you think that you need all of these things for your kids, because at the end of the day, you just don't. They will find something to entertain themselves, and less really is more. Once we finish up in here, that is going to be it for today's video. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed. In my next video, I will for sure be giving the update on what we are doing, because I haven't given too many details about our move. So I will be answering the question of whether or not we are moving to North Carolina or if we're staying in Massachusetts. So if you want to hear all about that, just stay tuned for my next video. I don't mean to drag it out. I've just needed a little bit of time to process everything before I go ahead and start sharing it all with the world. But that's it for me today, and I hope I'll see you again next week for another video.
Okay, we have some major catching up to do. We backed out of the house that we were buying. So let's clean up my disaster house while we talk about it and everything that has gone on the last couple weeks.
Never did I think I'd be giving this update when we started this whole process, but sometimes life just throws you curveballs. We have had quite a rough few weeks or a month, to be honest. What started as excitement very quickly became something that we dreaded. So shortly after we had our offer accepted, we had a family health crisis. I don't want to get into too many details out of respect for everyone else, but we ultimately lost my husband's dad after weeks and weeks in the hospital. It truly did happen suddenly, though. Yes, he was in the hospital, but this was just very unexpected. And going through all of this, it all just started to feel like too much. It put a lot of things into perspective for us, what we truly want, our goals as a family, and we had to make a very difficult decision to back out of the home that we were buying. This doesn't mean we're not moving. We definitely do want to move, hopefully sooner rather than later, but this home just wasn't meant for us, and it became obvious as time went on in the process. All that being said, my father-in-law was a really great man. He was genuine and kind. He really cared for his family, and we're very sad about this loss. It feels surreal. So where does this leave us now? Are we still selling? What's the plan? To be honest, I don't know the plan. I'm really taking it day by day right now. We are still planning to try to sell our home. We're still planning to move to look for a new house. It's just the timeline I'm not 100% sure on. We've had so much on our plates, so it feels like we need to slow it down and take a breather before we start jumping all in back into the process. Okay, now that we have all of our updates out there into the world, this day I was just trying to get my house back in order somewhat, because as you can imagine, when you're going through a lot emotionally and as a family, things definitely can fall apart. Our house was very clean because we had some open houses, and somehow it managed to totally fall apart after that, which I'm sure everyone can agree is understandable given the circumstances. Plus, I had cleaned my car out, so that's what you're seeing on the dining room table there. My car was a complete disaster, so I took everything out of my car and brought it in the house to go through it, and we're finally going to go through that now. It had been sitting on my table for like 2 days. I think one of the hardest parts about going through a difficult time is the fact that the world doesn't stop for anybody. Like, time just keeps going, the world keeps going, things keep happening, and you have to just keep going even when you don't really feel like you want to. Sometimes you're just doing the bare minimum to try and get by, and truthfully, that's where we are at right now. I have so much work coming up that I'm so behind on. My husband's very busy at work. We have the house situation that has happened, and then of course the devastating loss of my father-in-law. It's just been a lot. We've definitely been struggling.
I just did my entire sink's worth of dishes and realized that my camera wasn't recording the whole time. So let's pretend that that motivational portion of the video was in there. Also, this kitty, I love her so much, but she's so naughty and she won't get off the counters. No matter how many times I pick her up and take her off, she's got a mind of her own and she does not care one bit.
One thing I have really let go recently is my fridge and my pantry. I have not been doing a good job of going through them, especially the fridge. I found some really disgusting broccoli. I think that it had been in there for like probably 4 weeks at that point or something. We just have not been staying on top of this stuff like we normally do. So I wanted to just quickly go through my fridge and go through my pantry to find anything that we could get rid of. And while I was doing this, I was kind of making a mental list of what I needed to restock.
I think this is the most empty my fridge has probably ever been. So we really need to go grocery shopping. We're just so behind on life right now.
This was actually my son's second to last day of school. I think he had half days for his last 4 days of school, which seems so silly to me. I don't know why they don't just do 2 full days instead of 4 half days, but whatever. Anyway, like I said, I was making a mental list of everything that needed to be restocked. And then after I picked up my son from his half day, I took both kids with me to the grocery store so we could grab some produce and just some things that we have not had in quite some time. And my son, my oldest, his name is Carson. He is 7.5, actually. He's almost 8. He's going to be 8 next month, which is crazy. He was so helpful. It was amazing. Like, he was picking up the waters for me, like a big pack of waters. He was helping at the checkout. He was helping to bag the groceries. He helped me put them into the car. He helped me bring them into the house and help me put them away. And it was just like such a cool moment for me as a parent, because I realized like I didn't even ask him for help for any of these things, and he just did it himself. And it just made me so proud of him.
When the streams are getting strong, just hold on to me, yeah. I'm your lighthouse, I'm the sun against your dark clouds. I will always be your guiding light. I'm your lighthouse, I'm the sun against your dark clouds. I will always be your guiding light. I know you're strong.
After we put away all of the groceries, I made some oobleck with my son, and He got it everywhere somehow. It was all over my kitchen, so me and the robot vacuum had to work together to clean this mess up. If you have never made oobleck before with your kids, maybe this is going to make you not want to do it. Just looking at this mess, I will say it was very, very easy to clean up. But basically, oobleck is just cornstarch and water, and it's a solid when you like press on it. But then when you pick it up, it turns into a liquid, and it's just a really cool kind of like sciencey experiment that you can do with the kids. It kept my son entertained for close to an hour. This day was so random. I was just doing things as I had to get them done. So the next thing that I did was clean out the tub because my toddler loves to play in the bath. He will sit in there forever and play with his toys, and he brought in pretty much every toy that he currently has into the tub with him. So I had to get all of that out, and then I wanted to just kind of quickly clean it out. He uses these little like bath color drops when he's playing in there, and he loves them. I get them from Amazon, and he kind of like paints his toys with them, and like he just mixes the colors and whatever. But anyway, they can stain if you don't clean them up quick enough, so I wanted to make sure I got that taken care of. And again, we're just kind of doing random things that needed to get taken care of. I desperately needed to do my laundry. It had been way too long since I'd done my own laundry. And then I just needed to get some random things put away that had made their way into my bedroom, get the surfaces just kind of wiped down, and get the space reset.
I got the sails loose. You're lying next to me with heavy eyes while I shiver inside with a heavy heart. I know what I've done.
I cannot believe how bad the lighting is in here right now because it's literally 2:30 in the afternoon, and it's so dark outside because it never stops raining. So anyway, it's another rainy day here. Right now it's not raining, but it's cloudy, so the rain is going to start again any minute. But anyway, this cover right here, you guys might remember I like kind of upholstered our bed frame because my husband has very short, like scratchy hair, and he leans against the headboard at night when he's lying in bed, and he scratched off the finish of the headboard. So I painted it. He scratched off that with his hair. So I upholstered it, and wouldn't you know it, there's another head mark from his scratchy hair. So I ordered this on Amazon. It was only $10. I'm not a big fan of the color. It doesn't go great with like the rest of the colors in this room, but it was only $10, and it was overnight shipping, which I needed because it was like the day before we would have an open house here. But anyway, if you didn't know this was a thing, it's a thing. If you search like headboard cover on Amazon, they have a whole ton of them. I'm probably gonna order a different color, but it's very soft and comfortable, and again, only $10. So when my husband inevitably ruins this one as well, it's an easy replacement. It is super dark down here as well because of the weather today, but exciting news, we did back out of the house purchase, but we're getting a new washer and dryer soon, so it's not all bad. Why is she in a cage? Buddy. Let her out of the cage, honey. If you're wondering about the cages, that is for when we have showings at our house, so we can lock the cats up
and not have to worry about somebody accidentally letting them outside. So that's what those are for. And yet another kind of random task that had to be done was going through my toddler's drawers. I just needed to clean things up and reorganize them a little bit. We are finally starting to get some consistent warm weather, so I wanted to get most of his pants out of there, except for like a couple of pairs, since we do still in New England have cold days like completely out of nowhere in the middle of summer. But for the most part, I wanted to make space for just his summer clothes. So that's what we're doing here. Right now, all of my clothing bins that I have organized by size are in storage because we had packed that stuff away when we thought we were moving. So I'm not able to really put things away the way that I want to, but I just wanted to make sure that they were out of the drawers that we are using every single day, just to make the whole putting laundry away and getting my toddler ready for the day process a little bit easier.
Sound of people talking, the wind blowing in the trees. Oh, I will
I want to say sometimes when you're in a really difficult phase of life, it's okay to make the frozen dinner for your family. I usually like to go to Whole Foods and get their frozen meals, but I wasn't getting to Whole Foods today, so this just is what it is, and everybody will have a full belly tonight, even if it's not the best thing ever.
The dishwasher that we had loaded up earlier was now done. I know you're not supposed to put like wooden cutting boards in the dishwasher, but I'd love to know if you guys do it anyway as well. Eventually it does like bend and sometimes even crack when you do it like that, but sometimes I just cannot be bothered to clean the wooden cutting board any other way. I just find it to be such a pain. But once we finish with this, that is going to be it for today. I'm so sorry that my videos have been shorter lately and that I've been less consistent. We just really have been going through it, and I'm doing the best that I can to stay on top of everything. But thank you so much for sticking around and sticking by me through all the different phases of my life and all the confusion that has gone on. And I hope I'll see you again next week for another video.
I will try to fix what has been broken and take this weight off my shoulders, 'cause I know yesterday ain't coming back. I'm gonna let the past stay in the cold. I will listen to the ocean, let its unsaid words be spoken, and I'll let my mind be carried